Okay. How you doing? Good evening, by the way. So we weren't supposed to have class today.
What?
We weren't supposed to have class today.
How's Florida?
How's Florida? All right. I'm so glad we canceled that. I really am. Very, very happy.
Cancel Florida?
We're going to Israel in 3 weeks from today, and no time.
No time. It's just so nice.
No, it's nice. I'd like to go. I was in Europe, came back, Thanksgiving, came back.
I don't know. I can relate 100%.
And by the time I come back, I'm leaving a week later.
I can relate 1,000%.
I'm not 22 years old anymore, you know.
Florida to recuperate from Israel.
Yeah.
Neither am I, but
I'll do Florida. Yeah, when I come back from Israel, that I'd like. Yeah, go in February.
I
Yeah,
don't like the pack and the whole.
I don't know. Florida don't pack. I have stuff there.
Just go. He's leaving Israel a week later. That's
the answer. I'm not into bopping around, and I'm busy with the podcasts and with Ralphie, and it's disruptive. I need the continuity when you're working. Continuity is everything. Every day, consistency, continuing in the material. You don't just walk into what we do. Yeah, so that's important. That's very important. And today was the first time I wasn't happy with a podcast. I would knock it out if it was up to me. It was not what I was looking for. It's about the 32nd, 3rd, and 4th Mizmurim, which make a literary unit together, which nobody knows, right? And it's the 34th is the 3rd of the 4 acrostics in book 1. Now we're going through the book, and I never wrote a comment on 32, 33, and 34. I made maybe passing some summarized maybe statements here and there. I don't even remember in the book if I did that with 32 and 33, but it's 32, 33, 34 are unit. The reason that they're a unit. Can you get me my book from the bookcase? Sorry to bother you around. So I'll go over it with you because I think it's worthy of a little bit of discussion. And yeah, perfect. In order to, what's that?
It's not how come you didn't know that either, because we don't read 32 on Shabbat.
We don't read 32 on Shabbat. Right. We read 33 on Shabbat.
34.
And 34, yeah, but there's a reason.
I see a lot of that.
You can see that's right. It's you're not going to talk about a subject related to 32 Shabbat on 32, which is its main subject. That said, in order to understand how 32, 33, I wish I had more of the books because it's easy to show you how 32, 30. Do I have any more books around here? Wait, 1, 2, 3.
I think there's a few more.
In there?
Yeah.
Really? In the bookcase? In there?
Well,
See if there is. Yeah, if there is, it'd be good. It'd be good. I wish we had the books so you could see them on your phone, and then you could look at the PDF. What? No, I meant the book. Are there any of the books in the bookcase?
Well,
my books, maybe in the drawers. Take a look in the drawers.
Our Bennett. Yeah, that's probably.
There's a couple in the drawers. Okay, whatever you have, bring out. There's 2 or 3. 3, good. There's 6. That's perfect. You're in charge of putting them back there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. You open up to page 58. Perfect. On page 58, David, you don't have the book, so you'll have to yeah. On page 58, I have an excursus that started somewhere around there. Let's see. Another instance of it. Yeah, it starts. The excursus is excursus number 2 on page 50. It's called the use of Ashrei and Baruch across the book of Psalms. It's an amazing, amazing Rabbi Ralphie. I showed it to him last week. He flipped out. So Ashrei and Baruch are used as a in Tehillim, based on the way they're used in. If you take a look at page 50, I'll read it fast. After recognizing intertextual connections between Psalm 1 and Jeremiah 17, an important question remains: why does Jeremiah use the word Baruch and Arur to contrast the cursed and blessed man? Right? You know that you all know the Baruch HaGeber, Ashrei, etc. Arur HaGeber, right? Okay. Psalm 1, well, I'll use the word Ashrei rather than Baruch to describe the latter. A full explanation of the psalmist's choice of Ashrei requires a broader treatment of the word Ashrei and Baruch to open and close the 5 books of Tehillim generally. It will be helpful to observe first. That's what my main objective is, to show you Ashrei, but this is fast, and I'm going to read it fast because you're all familiar, and you'll see it's a very interesting observation. It will be helpful to observe first that the forms of the word Ashrei occur twice in the Torah, once near the beginning and once near the end. Right? That's it, twice in the Torah. In Leah's naming of Yaakov's 8th son, Vatomid Le'ah, Be'oshri hi ishiruni banot v'tikra et shemo Asher. Leah declared, what fortune, meaning women will deem me fortunate. So she named him Asher. In Moshe's last spoken words of the Torah, we're on page 50, Eli. Yeah. It occurs in the first word of the last verse of his blessing to Israel. First word of the last verse, prior to the narrative description of his ascent to Har Nebo. Ashrecha Yisrael, mi chamocha am nosha b'Adonai, magen ezecha v'asher hirib kavatecha v'ikashu ebicha lach v'tar b'motemo tidroch. So Moshe's blessing to Israel in Deuteronomy, I'll translate it. Oh, happy Israel, who is like happy? I say happy, fortunate, blessed every time I refer to it in the book. Who is like you, a people delivered by the Lord, your protecting shield, your sword triumphant. Your enemies shall come cringing before you, and you shall tread on their backs. Moshe's blessing to Israel in Deuteronomy 33 is introduced with the words, Vizot ha-beracha asher berach, right? Duplicating the words, the root barech, as well as surrounding the relative particle asher with it. Right? Baruch, Baruch, Asher Berach. Right. Well, his final blessing to any tribe is to the tribe of Asher, named for Leah's joy. His name is Asher, right? When you say it, you're saying, oh, Asher, like, he's Asher, right? Beginning with the words, Ul Asher Amar Baruch Miberim Asher. This time surrounding Baruch with the name Asher. To strengthen the connection, compare Leah's declaration, Ki Ishiruni Banot, to Moses, Baruch Mibanim Asher. Finally, the very first words of the very last verse of the blessings and of Moshe's words to Israel. Again, it's the very first words of the very last verse. Are Ashrecha Yisrael. Happy are you, happy, blessed, fortunate are you, Israel. Thus, the final blessing of Moshe, his beracha to Israel, is strongly characterized by the declaration of Ashrecha that concludes it. Good? This may explain the psalmist's parallel use of Ashrei and Baruch as bookends in his own work. You look at Tehillim, right? Drawing as it does on Moshe's Torah for inspiration. As noted below, Each of the 5 books of Psalms begins or ends, or both, with a verse using the word ashrei, or occasionally a variation thereof. Open up your Tehillims if you'd like.
I don't see that.
Yeah, open up your Tehillims. What do you mean you don't see it? It's there. You don't see it. You need glasses.
Book 3.
And it ends.
The first book.
Each of the 5 books up there, likewise, so the words are
Ashrei.
ashrei,
I didn't see that.
means my footsteps.
Okay.
It's a play on it.
Okay, play.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't says play, says the word.
Begins or ends or both with a verse using the word aleph, shin, resh.
Okay, now you see it.
Occasionally a variation thereof.
You didn't read that line.
You didn't listen. Likewise, as shown below, the word also serves as anchoring role in marking the center of key literary subunits in the book of Tehillim. This is important now. It plays an anchoring role. That is, units smaller than the entire book. That's what all of tonight is about if we get to it. The word Baruch similarly serves as part of a formula that closes each of the 5 books of Tehillim. Do you know what they are? Book 5 is the only exception, but it is the exception that proves the rule as demonstrated in the remarks that follow. That was a footnote. Finally, other conjugations or inflections of the root Barech may also be found at the close of books. For instances of opening and closing books as noted, Psalms 1 and 2 open with the words Asher Ha'ish Asher, not only using Asher, but adding alliterative emphasis with the word Asher. Asher Ha'ish Asher, right? And close with the phrase Ashrei Kol Hoseh Bo, therefore forming a literary envelope around. I'm not in the book now.
No, yeah, we know that.
To open both book and entire Psalm book 1. You have an envelope around the 2. They're not superscript. There's no superscription. It's introduction to all of Sefer Tehillim, right? And you start. Book 1's last Psalm, Psalm 41. Take a look at Psalm 41, which closes book 1. Begins after the superscription with Ashrei Maskil Ildan. That's 41-2. You see that, Morris, in your book? Yeah. And also proceeds in the next verse to use the rare pu'al, which is the intensive passive conjugation of the word ba'aretz ve'ushar, right? Ye'ushar, it's a kirti. The psalmist's last verse is a formula marking the end of book 1. What is the end? Baruch Adonai Elohei Yisrael me'olam v'adlam amen v'amen. So there you have the Ashrei and Baruch. Book 2 then repeats the pattern in its last psalm. Take a look at Mizmor 72, Ayin Beth, everybody. The last verse of the psalm proper is verse 17. V'yitbarechu bo kol goyim ya'ashiruhu. So therefore, there, right? I didn't read the whole verse. Yishmor l'olam l'fanav yishemesh noan shemor v'yitbarechu bo kol goyim ya'ashiruhu, using both the roots of Ashrei and Baruch. Then the psalm continues and concludes with a variation of the formula that closes books in 18 and 19. Baruch Adonai Elohim Yisrael Oseh Lefod Abador. Baruch Shem Kavod Lam Melech Lord Kaaretz Amen Amen. Good. Book 3, second verse.
But where's book 2? I'm sorry, where's book 2, Ashrei? How does it start open? Where is it? Where do you have it? You say every book opens with Ashrei?
42.
Every book closes and opens.
Either opens or
Oh,
closes or both.
Oh, not, okay.
Or both.
Some not both.
Right,
Book
or
2 doesn't
both.
start with Ashrei.
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't say
Before
that. No.
So you said.
Book that repeats the pattern in the last psalm of
Oh,
73.
that before
Right.
said.
Right. Book 3, second verse,
Or both.
Psalm 73:2 uses a different word, ashurai, vocalized differently and meaning my steps. But of course, anybody who's an observer of Tehillim and how it's functioning, sees the word ashurai,
Hey.
and it's play on ashrei.
Hey.
But an attentive reader familiar with the pattern would see this as a nod to the typical presence of ashrei at the beginning of a book. Book 3's final psalm contains the verse, Ashrei ha'am yodeh teruah Adonai b'or panecha halechun. Further, that's in 89:16, everybody.
Says right
Right? Furthermore, its first verse after the superscription, Psalm 89:2, begins with what?
there.
Ashira, right? Right? Of God's kindness forever, which much like 73:2 plays on the expected pattern by using a word that phonetically resonates with the expected Ashrei at the final Psalm's beginning verse. How you doing, Lee? Likewise, in its final verse proper, 89:52, it begins each half of the verse with Asher, another likely nod to the expected Asher. In its actual final verse, as expected, it employs the formula Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen v'Amen. Good? Book 4's last psalm, Psalm 106, begins its third verse with Asher Shomrei Mishpat. It closes book 4 with a formula, Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen, Hallelujah. So therefore, good?
Right.
The structure of the book of Psalms includes a 6-psalm coda, that's after 144, consisting of the final acrostic 145 and the 5 Hallelujah superscripted and subscripted psalms 146 to 150. Thus, the conclusion of book 5 proper is found in Psalm 144. True to form, the psalmist embraces the expected pattern, albeit with a noticeable reversal. It begins, listen carefully, after a one-word superscription in Psalm 144 with the words, Baruch Adonai Sturi, rather than closing with Baruch, and closes with a doubled Ashrei, the only such doubling within a verse in all of Tehillim. There's only one time in Tehillim you have Ashrei said twice in a bicolon form, Ashrei am shkach elo, Ashrei am she'Adonai elav. The only time that you'll see 2 Ashreis in a verse, which is in 144's last verse, that means Tehillim concludes, remember 144 is the end.
Yeah.
Tehillim concludes on that. From 145, what you called Ashrei is really Tehillah David, right? I don't mean, right?
Yeah.
That
Song.
Mizmor is the beginning of a 6 coda conclusion to Tehillim, separate from the end of the book. The book ends at 144. 145 to 1, those 6 you read every day. Some people read them every day in their prayers. And it consists of 80 verses, no accident, 580 words, I think it is, and 80 verses, an 80 verse coda, right? In music, you know what a coda is in music?
An ending. An ending.
It's correct. It's an ending. It's like saying conclusion.
Summation.
Right, summation. The book ends before that. When you read in a book epilogue, for example, in a book epilogue, the book ended. Just giving you some perspective and some insight and something like that. But the book ended at that point. So Tehillim ends at that point. It's important that you understand that. Rather than closing with Baruch and closes with a double Asher, the only subs on the verse of all Psalms, rather than opening with it. Psalm 145, the 8th and final acrostic, which serves as an introduction to the coda, begins and ends with various conjugations of the Barech root. Of course, you all know that, reflecting a thematic movement from the psalmist's choice to bless God to the ultimate triumph in which all flesh has joined the song. Finally, Psalm 146, the first psalm of the 5-psalm subunit of Korah, whose psalms all begin and end with Hallelujah, contain the clause Asher She'el Yaakov Be'ezro in its 5th verse, one of the middle verses of 10. As these examples demonstrate, the psalmist employs both Asher and Baruch as part of a structure that serves to organize the entire book. This is critical. I'd like you guys to understand that nobody has ever written this. Okay? Nobody has ever written this. No one has ever written this analysis like this. No one has ever presented Therefore, it's going to play a role in what we're going to get to, again, if we get to it tonight. It's critical that you understand that. This is not common knowledge, what I just now said. As these, it is common knowledge that the 5 books in Midrash Tehillim says every one of the books opens or closes. They recognized it in Midrash Tehillim, not this kind of analysis that we just now did, and not what's coming after.
Is it just a coincidence in Tehillah we start with ashrei ashrei? I mean, how's that?
No, you don't start. That's the end of the previous verse.
But I'm saying.
Why we do that? I think the custom came from, say the last verse of Tehillim proper, and now start reading the Coda. Like read the person who developed that custom went like this. You know, when you read those last 2 verses, it's like you finished the whole book. It's
Where is ashrei?
I think it's even better. I think it's the upshot of the whole book. So it's like saying, when you read those 2 things, it's like
No.
have a split second Kavanah, you finish the whole book on that note.
44 bottom.
What do you mean? It's not from 144. No, that's from 84. That's from 84.
That's the one.
That's the center of the Ashrei in Tehillim.
Oh, wow.
That's the center one. From the 84th Mizmor, which has 3 of them, which is the only Mizmor that has 3 of them like that.
So if the beginning and end all start with Asher or Baruch, now you're saying it's the 5th verse, the middle of the 5th verse of the 146.
Right, it's in the conclusion.
But
That's
that-
in the conclusion.
but it's
You
not
finish
really-
Tehillim in
not
the
really-
last one.
Okay.
You finish Tehillim in
It's like-
144.
Don't confuse it.
Don't, you finished
Okay.
Tehillim
say
at
that.
144.
So,
Now, even in the Coda, you have an Eshrei.
okay, you have one.
Okay,
Right.
that's all.
Okay.
I didn't say anything. What do you have reading?
Oh, it's like
I'm
everyone
telling-
was placed where it is. and
It's
just-
to perfection, and if you want to analyze why 146 does that, we'll not now, not now. Suffice it to say, it's the end, it's in the coda, it's in the end. You ended, and now you put it in the coda,
Oh,
in the middle.
in the middle.
Okay. Now, we're using Baruch Asher opens or closes books.
It's easy to.
Another instance of Asher is a literary anchor in the Bible. This one, I'd like you to see it because nobody knows this one at all, anywhere, ever. It's not even mentioned. As the final note on the Asher phenomenon in the Bible, it is imperative to recognize that it exists not only in Tehillim, but in other prophetic literature as well. A closely related additional use of Asher, namely to center an important literary subunit, is best exemplified in Melachim Aleph, chapter 10, wherein the Queen of Sheba visits King Solomon, both expressing awe at his kingdom and identifying the important characteristics of a leader, right? Famous meeting. The following observations demonstrate the highly structured organization of the Queen of Sheba narrative, super highly structured, as well as the use of Ashrei to center it in a manner reminiscent of the use of Ashrei in Psalms. You read it and you go, well, I'm back in Tehillim. It's amazing. Watch this. The narrative contains 13 verses. If you have Tanakh in front of you and you want to look at the narrative, you can. But I think I brought it down in a chart. 1 minute.
No.
Is it on the next page? Yeah, it's there if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
The narrative contains 13 verses and 227 words in total. 1. Next note. The Queen's words to Solomon at its core occupy verses 6 to 9, or the 8th through the 5th verses from the end. Next, there are 82 words before she speaks and 83 words after she speaks, placing her speech at the center by word count. She says 62 words. So you got it?
Oh, okay.
You got that? So it's like this.
82, 83.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's right in the middle of the narrative.
One word.
The center of the 200. I'm gonna hit him now. It goes off. It's not off by 1 word. You'll see why. Be patient. Be patient, and you'll see why you don't know what you're talking about. The center of the 227 word narrative begins the 8th verse of the 13 with the repeated blessing Ashrecha, Ashrei Anashecha, Ashrei Abadecha. She tells him, at Ashrei are your men, Ashrei are your servants. The envelopment of Anashecha is in a repeated Ashrei, compromise the 113th, 114th, and 115 words. The exact center by word count.
It's not off one.
It's not off one. If he would have given me a second, right? Mars is exactly right. It's not off at all. I'd like you to know, by the way, when she tells him that, she tells him, "You're fortunate. Look what you've got," right? She's taken aback by what she sees. The precise center words of her 62-word speech, likewise, are the two words Ashrei and Ashecha. The precise. Her last verse proceeds to bless God with the word. Take a look at it in the text if you like, because that's pretty amazing, right? That's her last verse proceeds. You read it, you want, anybody have it open?
Yeah.
Can you read it? Her last verse proceeds to bless God with the words Baruch.
Last verse.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hebrew?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yehi Adonai Elohecha Baruch Asher Chafetz V'Cha Al Kisei Yisrael Ba'abat Adonai Et Yisrael Olam V'Yisimcha L'Melech L'Asot Mishpat V'Sukecha.
Yeah. Now that is the most amazing statement. I'm going into a parenthetical comment. Those words that she says are so mind-blowing, and no one catches that one either, sad to say. It's chapter 10 of Melachim Aleph, and she tells him, after she says, it says her breath is taken away, right? The words her breath is taken away comes up in the piece, literally. Now she tells him, right? She says, I didn't hear the half of it, right? And Asher Nashecha, Asher Adecha, Elam Dimul Fenecha, etc., to hear your wisdom. Baruch. Asher Hafez Bechal, Ultitachal Kisei Yisrael. You know why he gave it to you? Be'ahabat Adonai Yisrael Olam, because he loves Israel eternally, forever. V'Yisimcha Melech, and he placed you to be a king. Lasot mishpat uzdaka. You know why God placed you here? By the way, Ronnie, she's a foreign queen. She's very likely African. She's an African queen. She's black. She comes from Africa. She's very wealthy because she has access to tremendous amounts of gold and natural resources. She's super. Right? Well, when she comes in to meet him, she's overwhelmed. She who is loaded.
She gave him a gift like no.
She gave him a gift beyond. But she tells him, you know why God gave you this? She comes from Africa. To do Sedakan Mishpat. Those words, she's telling him that. Yes. Which is amazing because when he is going to be ripped, if you read my paper on Shlomo and his reign, that long document that I have, it's going to be in volume 2. It's 90 pages. It's an amazing thing. You know what it says? God tells him, what happened to the Selakan Mishpat? That's why you thought you were supposed to be here. And of course, you didn't do it. And of course, so she, the foreign queen, comes and says, you got all of this because of that. It puts in the words of Selakan Mishpat in her mouth, and it's the last 2 words that she says. You don't hear from her again. More than that, she's attributed with the one that recognizes you do justice for the people. You're supposed to look at that and say, where was he? Where was he with all the power and all the glory and all the wisdom and all the success and the building and the next buildings and all this? What happened to all of that?
But ties into the meaning in ashrei. Hearing is different than here, right? It's more, you explain it's much more.
Much more.
It's being part of God and following Hashem.
Of course.
Part of the program.
Much more.
Fortunate.
Not just fortunate, that's right.
playing off it. because-
She is, clearly. So I'm writing over here, her last verse begins with Baruch. Note how the center words of the Queen of Sheba almost duplicate the pattern of the first words of Tehillim. Where Psalm 1 has the man, the Queen of Sheba says, your men. In Tehillim it says, Asher ha'ish asher, and she says, Asher and Ashecha. Ashrei, right? Abadecha. So look, Ashrei and Ha'ish and Ashecha and Asher and Ashrei. Do you see how it's duplicating I put that little thick chart there so you could see it. Thus, the use of Asher to frame and center a narrative, highly structured and laden with patterns of covenantal number symbolism, demonstrates a characteristic of prophetic writing which is not limited to the book of Psalms. The second volume of this commentary, which I just finished
So she read Tehillim?
a month ago, right, deals more extensively with the reign of Solomon and the role of Queen of Sheba in his biblical portrayal. The following chart identifies key structural features of this narrative. You don't have to read it. Okay.
One book.
Now, Excursus 3, the meaning of the word Asher and more on the pattern of its use in Psalms. I'm going to skip all of this for purposes of tonight. I mean, I could read it, right? But you could read it when you read the book, if you read the book, which you probably won't, which says I should really read this to you, right? Right.
He's like expecting us to say, yeah.
Maybe
This
this is very good. Yeah, this is very, very good. Yeah. Okay.
Direction.
So the word Asher occurs 28 times within 27 verses. Precisely 26 attestations occurs the word Asher, while one appears as Ve'ushad, another as the Asheruhu. 26 are located at either the opening. I'm at the bottom of page 55. They're either at the opening, center, or closing of one of the 5 books or specific psalm units. The first occurrence in book 2 and 4 are the only ones that do not fit the standard pattern. Furthermore, their positions conform to patterns of covenantal number symbolism, frequently involving the number 8 and 13, as well as the number 26, which serves as a tetragrammaton, Yud-Keh Vav-Keh signifier. Closer analysis of the locations of the Psalms in which the word Asher appear brings to light another pattern in the use of this word. It occurs chiastically, appearing, listen carefully now, in seven book 1 Psalms, 2 Psalms each in books 2 through 4, and in 7 Psalms in book 5. Nobody ever noticed that either, right? Did I make a chart for that? Yeah. Turn the page and take a look. Psalm count 7, 2, 2, 2, 7. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
7
7 triple 2, 7. So it's chiastic, right? The verse count is 9, 2, 4, 2, 10. It's off, but it's a 2, 4, 2 in the middle, right? And the total occurrences are 9, 2, 4, 2, 11, and for 28. And I put the chart over there for you to see it on the right on page 57. Now, all of that, we did get through it, so we're doing good. We're doing good. We have 35 minutes, and I think I'm going to accomplish what I want to talk about. Now, with this backdrop, right, and knowing this, in pages 58, 59, 60, 61, and 62 in the excursus, go through every occurrence of Asher with a comment that gives very, very terrific insight into how this works. I want to talk about, on page 58, I want to talk about one particular thing, and that is page 58, where it says 32:1, 32:2, 33:12, and 34:9. That's what I want to talk about today.
Okay.
You know the first 2, I'm skipping them. 32:1. Le David Maskil. If you want to look in your books, all you have to do is open up Tehillim to Mizmor Lamed Bet and leave it open in front of you so you could look up while we're talking, okay? Remember that 34 is the third of the fourth acrostics in book 1 of the 8, right? 32:1. Psalm 32, 33, and 34 do not open or close a book. And A.B., I'm going to stick this in the next edition. I'm going to write, A.B. Mala is losing his mind. A.B. Mala says, what the heck do you have the nerve to say it if that's the case? Your whole premise is all full of hot air. And then I want to put a little face of A.B. Mala, and then I want to go like this. A.B. Mala don't know what the heck he's talking about.
Following the words of the book here, just opens or closes, opens or closes the book.
Right.
Effective you say it on the podcast. If you put it-
Tomorrow we can do that.
No.
Okay. The word ashrei in this 3-psalm unit functions like those that open, center, or close the book of Tehillim as follows. Watch this. All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, the only time the pattern is broken is in 32, 33, and 34, right? Which is bothering you a lot. But now let's look at how it occurs. Ashrei, A.B., if you have the book open in front of you too, is the first word after the superscription. Got that? Ashrei. No.
No.
The David Meskil. Ashrei Nesui Pesha.
No, you never.
So,
32?
First word after the superscription.
The first word after the superscription.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
No, it's-
in 32 too, Asher Adam Lo Yashov Lo Avon Van B'Chorim is the first word in the very next verse. So not only do you have it in the first word of 32, you have it in the first word of 32 and the first word of the next verse in 32. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Good. Following the pattern
That's a pattern.
to A.B. Mala of beginning of at the very beginning.
Of a book.
No,
Okay.
following the pattern of the very beginning.
What was the
The
book?
very
Okay.
no, follow it. I knew you didn't know what I was saying. It's good, thank you. It follows the pattern of being the first word of something. Okay, it's a verse of in the middle of nowhere, but it's the first word. Good. That's all I said so far.
Ashrecha.
32, 33, 12. The next is more that it occurs in after 32. Everybody with me? Psalm 33, you say it every Shabbat. It's a non-superscripted, no superscription, meaning it's attached to 32.
Mhm.
Whenever you have a mizmor that isn't without a superscription, Eli, are you aware of that? Every time you have a mizmor without a superscription, it means I'm attached to the previous one, right? If the perfect example is the first two, there's no superscription in mizmor 2. It's a literary unit. It opens on Asher and closes Asher. Psalm 33 contains A.B. Mala now, 161 words in 22 verses. Asher is located at 5 center points as follows. 1, Asher is the center word, the 81st of the Psalms 161 words, exactly in the middle.
80 is right now.
It is preceded and followed by exactly
80
80 what?
words.
Good. 2, Asher opens the second of the 2 center verses. It is the first word in verse 12, right? You have 22 verses. 11 and 12 are the middle. The first word of 12 is Asher.
Mhm.
Got that, A.B.?
Clear on that.
Good. 3, Asher is the center word of the center verses 11, 12, combined total of 17 words.
Okay.
How many words in verse 11, A.B.? How many verses in count?
17 words. is it?
No, how many in that one?
8 and then 9 and then Ashrei is.
No, let him realize it.
In what? In
Oh,
Gotta count the words.
Right there,
Oh,
right there. Count. There's the 2 center verses have how many words, A.B.?
have 8,
And then
8, 9
9. Where is Asher located?
in the middle.
The 9.
8 and 8.
8 before and 8 after.
Yes.
The 9.
So 80 words before, 80 words after. 8 words before, 8 words after, first word of the 2 center verses. You got it?
What's it telling us?
Pretty good.
1 minute. Now you want the answer. If I can't, if I can't destroy him, it's no fun. It's the whole fun of this work.
You got me
It-
under my seat here.
It is preceded and followed by 8 words. Verse 11's 8 words, and the 8 words that follow in verse 12. 4. It is the center occurrence of ashrei in book 1, the 5th of 9. Again, another center point. There are 9 occurrences. It's the middle. 5, AB, read it.
Psalm 33 is the center psalm in book 1. The 4th of 7 in which ashrei occurs. Psalm 33 is the center psalm in book 1.
It's 3
The 4th of 7, 3 before 3 after is the center one.
Right?
Is ashrei.
5 bullseyes. You shoot the arrow, you shoot the other one, you shoot the 3rd one, it goes to town, you shoot the 4th one, you shoot the 5th one, it goes in it. Amazing. Note also that this phrase is almost the same as the phrase found in, nobody look at what I can, if you read it, it's too late. When that, look at the verse, that's the center that starts with ashrei in 33, in verse 12, verse 1. Read it. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hashem will have a.
Good. Asher Agoy Asher Adonai Elohav, right? What does that remind you? Hashem Shkach Elo, Asher Am Adonai Elohav. The only difference is in the last verse with the last Asher of the 2 in that verse, it's Asher Am Adonai Elohav over Asher Agoy Asher Elohav. So not only am I pointing out to you that is it significant, it's really almost a perfect paraphrase of the last one, this quintuple middle one, right? Because it uses the word goy instead of am, goy, parallel each other, almost interchangeable. Otherwise, the same word. Asher, agoy, asher have, asher am, shkach elo, Hashem shadonai have, asher agoy, shadonai elo have. That's the phrase. Good. The last one. In 34:9, it says Tamu Uru in the acrostic. Important now. Tamu Uru kitov Adonai asher geber yeheseh bo. Where is that occurring? Psalm 34 is one of the 4 acrostics in book 1. The asher clause is found in the 8th verse of the acrostic, even though it's a tet. Why is it the 8th, even though solely? The Vav. You're missing only one letter in that is one, not Vav and Kof like in 25, which we've discussed, but you're missing the Vav. So it's the 8th verse, even though it's the 10th. Verse 1 is a superscription, therefore not part of the acrostic. Additionally, since the letter Vav is omitted, the letter Tet becomes the 8th. This occurrence ends the Psalms 32-4 series. 30 years, many years ago, when I worked on this, I was torn when I see the 32, 33, 34 unit, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like in A.B. Maller's brain, basically, right? And I was being critical, like because, whoa, what the heck is going on?
You've matured.
Once I realized that it's perfectly structured the way it's structured in all of Tehillim, and I knew, this is important now, I knew that I know something about this literary structure of Tehillim's and its usage, many usages, but I knew how the word ashrei is being used and what its subjectives are, and I know about this anchor, and I know all of it, and I know what all the usages are. I said, you know what this is doing? At the 32nd Mizmor in Tehillim, 32, 33, and 34, he is putting up a blinking light to you. And he's telling you, you know, I only use it at the beginning. You, the reader, you know that. You know I only use it at the very end perfectly. You know when I put it in the middle, it's right in the middle, right? So ask yourself, and he's telling me, right? I'm talking to him. Ask yourself, why did I do it perfectly in a mini 32, 33, and 34? So the first thing that I realized was this. This is a trilogy. These 32, they're a unit, an enclosed unit within themselves. And by doing this, the first thing that he does for you is tell you, you have read 31 Mizmorim of the 41 Mizmorim in book 1. You are now coming to the conclusion of my presentation. Conclusion? I have a whole bunch of Mizmorim to go. From 32 to 41 is 9 more, whatever it is, right? But I learned from the way Tehillim closes that you got to recognize when things start to wrap up. And I realized what's called, like in a novel, you read a novel, and there are books and novels. If you ever read one of these big novels, right? Anybody reading Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson?
I bought it. I started the last press.
Yeah, I have the. How many pages is it?
I don't know. It was too many to count.
It's like this. So in the audio book, it's 62 hours. When you read it, it says how many hours a book is. 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 62 hours to read it, right? In other words, if you speed it up, it's 45 hours, whatever. Anyway, so you read a book, you go book 1, which you've seen. I agree, everybody over here has read books with a novel or whatever, and it says book 1, book 2, and book 3. After that, you come after that, and it says conclusion. After that, it says epilogue, right? You'll see that there are gradations in the way the book will fade away. You certainly see that in the Torah, because that's how the Torah comes to its conclusion, right? There's the Berachot Kehalot. When you get to before the Berachot Kehalot, the Torah closes, right? It closes with what you remember. What it closes? Don't look inside. How does Devarim close before? Right before the Berachot Kehalot, what does it say? It's all the Haggadah. You come with the tanning, come with the basket, right?
Okay.
What are those words? What do you remember? The Samta Tana, and you say, you come in front of the court, etc., etc. And unbelievable. That's correct.
History before you wrap up.
That's right. But now you wrapped up. You wrapped up. And not only did you wrap up, it's worthwhile for you to take 10 seconds and go to Devarim and go to those last words. It's worth it for you to see this, to see something very important. That when it does that, if you go to the last words, which is 27 at the end, right? And you look at that, the words of the putting them in the Taneh. After that, concluding, it says like this. That's about the maaser, right? If you skip in what it says, you say bi'arti hakodesh merav v'gam tativ le'levi la'ger yevon la'tam ba'ala v'amanav v'lo shkati lo achat gonim meno lo b'ad meno v'tameh v'lo natav meno lamet shamati b'kol Adonai Elohai asiti kol shesvitanu. Last words of Devarim. Proper. Eli, you want to read to us verse Tetvav in 27?
5 and 27 is like this.
Yeah.
Right there.
He wants, let him read it. Wait. No. Chapter 27, verse.
28.
It is 27.
No,
No,
28.
That's 27.
I'm sorry, 26.
No, it's
It's my mistake.
oh, second.
My mistake. 26.
26.
Yeah,
20, and
let him read it.
what pasuk? 17.
16. 15.
היום הזה,
That's 6 feet.
okay?
Tetvav.
ט"ו. השקיף במעון קודשך פני שמיים ועליך תמך את ישראל ואת האדמה אשר נתת לנו כאשר נשבעת לאבותינו ארץ זבת חלב ודבש.
Last words. They're amazing words. Look down from your holy abode from the heavens and do what? There's that word, by the way.
Less.
Barech. Ubarech et Amecha Yisrael ואת האדמה אשר נתת לנו, כאשר נשבע אותנו, ארץ זבת חלב ודבש. That is the end. You understand what I mean? The end? You're done. Those are the last thing you say Barech, and you conclude with those words. And by the way, they're like the concluding words of the 144th Mizmor. And I'll show you that if we have a chance. I don't want to take you off the point. Now, you know what you're going to do after that? You're going to get the setup for the Arurim. Then you're going to get the Berachot and Ke'alot, right? Kitabor. And then what are you going to get? Nisabim, Vayelech, he went and he did this, and he went and did that, and then Hazinu, and then Bezota Beracha. Now, all of that, Eli, you'll agree with me, all of that is a wrap-up. All of that is, you finished at that juncture. You move to Arurim, you move to the Berachot and Ke'alot, and then you're going to go to Hazinu, and then you're going to go to Bezota Beracha, and then you're done, right? That's how you moved through, and it was a long conclusion, so to speak. Good? Okay. That said, I looked at 32, 33, and 34, and I said, he's telling me I'm done. This is it. This is the wrap-up. This is a mini. Now, you ready? This is a summary of everything I've spoken about until now.
Verse 31.
32, 33, and 34 of Tehillim. I'm going to say in here, just like Tehillim has the first one, the middle, and the end, I'm going to make it perfect with the ashriyas so that you look at it like it's a mini unit. Clearly, it's a unit, and you know I surrounded it by 80 words at the middle one. So you know it's the covenant, correct? But I'm going to even do more than that. I'm going to show you one thing. Take a look at Nenu Sadikim, which you say on Shabbat. Take a look at 33. Not only is this going to be proven out, that Nenu Sadikim Adonai Laisharim Navat Tehillah. Now watch this. What does that remind you of?
End of the
Say it loud, Morris.
The end of the
The very end.
Yeah.
The very end. Now watch this. Shiru lo shir hadash. Shiru lo shir hadash. What does that remind you of? Where at the end? The penultimate one, right? Yeah. But now go to the last Mizmor in Tehillim proper, 144. Go to it and go to its 3 center words.
144.
Over here is Shiru lo shir hadash. What's the 3 center words? It's 130 word Mizmor. What are the 3 center words? Shir, Hadash, Ashira. The word Hadash is in the middle, and Shir is on, right? Shir is on one side, Ashira is on the other side. Over here is Shiru lo, Shir Hadash, right? Whenever you see that very seldomly used word in Tehillim, what do you think Shir Hadash means? The new song, Ronnie. What do you think the new one means? When you say it's new, it's a new song as opposed to the prior song.
It's after the Galu.
It's in
it's-
word also, B'nevel Asor,
Yeah.
Zamera La, which is
Yeah,
B'nevel Asor Zameru Lo.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you know what it's
The next words in the 144 are B'nevel Asor Zamera La.
over here. It's been able to sort of zemiru lo, shiru lo, shir hadash.
Right, and yeah,
It's reversing it. In other words, it's putting the term before the shir, right? No, he doesn't get it. Like you say to him again.
go in 33, 2, right? It says, Hodul Adonai Bechinor, B'nevel Asor Zameru Lo. Then it's going to say Shiru Lo, Shir Hadash, right? Over here, it says.
Then when you come over here, tell him where you are. Yeah.
144,
Yeah.
it says in
9.
9, Elohim, Shir Hadash Ashir Alach, right? And then it's going to go backwards. B'nevel Asor Azamer Alach.
Over there, it's been able to sort of zemiru lo, shir lo, shir hadash, shir hadash, elach, been able to sort of zamir elach. So it's clearly taking the very center of the very last Mizmor, very last of the of Tehillim proper, and over here it's opening with that center expression in the last Mizmor proper. It's opening with it and it's reversing it on proper purpose. Eli, why is it reversing it on proper purpose? What is the way of the Torah whenever it does it? It takes the element, it purposely inverts it or reverts it for you. So you look and you go like, oh, you did that, you did it on purpose. You took the term, you flipped it, but you didn't say shir hadash shir. I said shiru lo shir hadash. And of course, you're connecting the two by doing that, right?
Okay.
So you're going to say shir hadash. You're going to bring that in. You're going to bring you're going to bring in the music, the tibun again bitruah. Of course, that's going to remind you,
I could show how we
Yeah.
can so.
right. Ki asher devar Adonai v'chol ma'aser v'emunah ohev tzedakah mishpat. There's those words. That's what he loves. His name mala artist. Now, after that, you know what he's going to do? He's going to talk in that middle mizmor to talk about words that say, what does that remind you of, Soli? It's called creation. The creation story in Bereshit, right? It goes all the way to the very beginning, right, Morris? Right, Eli? Right, Lee? Yeah?
Yes.
That's creation. And then what does it do? Right? What does it do after the middle point? There's a bam, and then it says like this: En hamelech nosha b'rob hayil, gibor lo yenasel b'rob koach. The king isn't saved, right? With his might, with his army, with his power. Sheker hasus l'shu'ah. The horse, right? The tanks, they're all not going to do anything for you. He's not going to be saved. He's not going to escape with all of his army. To those who are waiting in anticipation for his chesed. To save them, right? We wait for him. Stop. There are two elements, main elements in this sentence, Mizmor, right?
Okay.
That occur. One of those is creation, and the other one is the idea of the king recognizing and showing fealty to God. Now, Ike, go to the center Mizmor of book 1. There are 41 Mizmorim. That's right. And what does it say? And you could, to save you time, just read what it says in verse 8.
Verse 8. He hamelech poteach b'Adonai chesed elyon ba'u b'imot.
Keep reading.
Timsa yadecha l'chol oivecha yiminecha timsa sone'echa.
Right? That is the upshot, because we don't have time to learn 21 now, right? You know, right?
Coming to my mind.
Right. The center of Tehillim says that the leadership, right? The king who trusts in God and recognizes that he shows fealty to God, the leadership, Ronnie, it's all about the leadership. You have corrupt leadership, you're finished. You have a nation that's run with corrupt leadership, you're finished, right? You have corrupt priests, you're done for. You have corrupt political judges, all of those, you're finished.
You mean like here?
Exactly. Now, therefore, that becomes the focal point and center point of all of book 1, which will become those center words. All of book 2 will be about the monarchy of Tehillim. All.
Right.
And that's how the second volume of the commentary opens up, showing the whole book is going to focus on the king,
Yeah, we know that.
the priests,
The corruption.
the judges and the military leaders and the judges corrupt to the core. Book 2. Book 3 will be all of it about the priests and their corruption, like the mafia. If you understand this, you could.
It says something about structure, I'm trying to understand. So 32, 33, 34.
No, we're on 33 right now. Don't do 32, 34. Only spoke about 33 right now, the middle. The middle
It's
is speaking about
it's a part of summation of book 1.
by saying God created the world, and by saying the leader, the king, has to show fealty to God.
But we've been saying that throughout book 1 up till now anyway.
Don't say that. It said it at the middle of book 1. It spoke about other things in book 1. Book 1 is a presentation, not on a national, but on a personal level.
Is it setting up
About-
book 2?
Of course.
I'm trying to get the.
Well, of course, it's gonna flow through.
Okay, so
So you go ahead, ask your question.
So why is 32, 33, 34, 33 a summation at this point in time?
You don't know what it says in 32 yet.
Okay.
Don't, you're.
You get the
I told you what it says in the middle. You're gonna work right and left now. No, I'm going to,
Okay.
here we are at the middle.
Go ahead.
Here we are at the middle. Now we're gonna go back one step. I'm gonna go forward one step. The back one step
Flashback.
is 32.
Right.
What it opened up. What does 32 requires Morris, Ron, there's only one Morris here. Morris, what is 32 saying you have to do?
You have to admit your shortcomings.
That's right.
Teshuvah.
Ashrei Nesui, that's the one on Kippur. Everybody's familiar with this more because of Kippur. Ashrei Nesui Beshga Ashrei Adam Lo Yashor Ban Ki Hadashi Balo Asmai Ki Yom Alai Tichba Alai Den Atati Odiacha Va'avoni Lo Chesiti Amarti Odia Le V'Shalom Tana Sadvan Atati
That's the first,
Sela.
that's about before we do it.
There you go.
Correct.
Right? Everybody knows this one because this is what of all the Tehillim, it shows. If you're going to talk about what do you say, you go Hatat. It's the first word and the last word, right? Abi,
I see.
you see. Only how do you pronounce the first one? How do you accent? No. Read it. Verse
1.
32, verse 5's first word.
Oh, Batat.
Say it again.
Tati.
No, it's
Not
not.
Hatati.
There's a negation, the
It's
T.
mice.
It's
Hatati.
the T is Hatati.
Hatati or Hatati?
Yeah,
It's Hatati. I sin,
Yeah.
right? Is it Hatati? Read. Look at the accents.
I know there's a negation. The
I made a sin. Hatati. Odiacha v'neositi. What's the last word? Last word. V'tanasata avon hatati. My sins. Right. One is I sinned. The other one is of my sins. Right. If you say this wrong instead of in front of my son-in-law AB or one of them, God help you. God help you if you read this improperly.
Biggest hit.
You know what he'll do? Yeah, no. It's worse. It's worse than eating on Kippur. It's worse than eating on Kippur.
I concur with him.
There's Amy. Right. Like God forbid I should say this. Shalom. He'll never, Right. So one is my sin, right? So now I'll zod this pill call. I see the legal ed Masor Akushet of Maim Rabim Lechelo Yigao Tasete Misar to Sereni Ronefale to Zubeni Sela. I'm going to teach you the way you should go. And v'orecha, by the way, it's a common English word, v'orecha, and enlighten you, orecha, and enlighten you, b'derech zu, in the way you should go. I'atza alecha, I'm going to give you counts, advice, eni ma'ai. Al tihu, don't be kisus kepered en habin. What does that mean, Eli? Like a yeah, how did the Syrians say that? Don't be a Josh. Is that right? Don't be a Josh, right? Don't be that. Rabim machobim larasha. V'habotei b'adonai hesed yoben sobebenu. Simchu b'adonai v'yulsim v'haninu kodesh liv. First thing you have to do is face up to your shortcomings. First and foremost. Face up to what you are. Don't be, go Morris, don't be what?
Justifying.
stubborn, justifying, rationalizing. Don't rationalize, don't be a Josh going in that way where you rationalize your actions, you justify your improper act, right? It's very basic, you're gonna say, but it's very fundamental, because if you don't do that, you're done. You have to, opening statement of these triple concluding words that are first, middle, last, 80, quadruple, quintuple, right? Face up to who you are. And when you face up to who you are, don't be a Josh like the guy who's tied into that foolishness of always justifying his actions, right? And then you end up in the worst place possible when you do that. Face up to your shortcomings, admit your shortcomings, and therefore you work on them and you have behavioral change and you get better. What is the last one? Now we go left of center.
34.
Yeah. What does 34 say? You read it all in Shad, you read it thousands of times. So any guy in the room knows what the heart of 34 is, the acrostic. It's missing the Vav, but it got the Kof back. And what is its number one statement?
Bless God.
So nobody said quickly. I'll
Thank God.
no.
Trusting God.
The number one thing is God answers prayers.
So,
The example of that is take a look at the Dalid and read it solely, read the Dalid verse.
Actually, it's Adonai.
The Anani. So that actually is I sought out God, and He answered me, and He saved me from all of my terrors. Right? Where's the next time he says? Wait, right? Ze'ani. Look at the Zayin. Read the Zayin one. Ike. This ani, right? He called out to God, and Hashem heard, and He saved him from all of his problems. Go to the Sadi, Ike, and read the Sadi letter. They cried out, right? They cried out. Now it's plural, and God heard, and from all their tzarot, He saved them. So he goes from me, Ze'ani, and Saku. He's telling you, listen, I know this poor guy, right? And God answered his prayer. I did it, and He came through for me. That group, maybe a town, let's say, maybe a family, maybe a town, maybe whatever it may be, they all were in very bad shape, dire circumstances. They cried out, and God came through. In the middle of this word, words 78, 79, 80 forward, 78, 79, 80 backwards are the words. Go ahead, Morris. You know it?
No.
You don't?
And the twice.
He turns around to you in the Lamed letter, right? Lamed is the 11, the middle, right? 11 and 12, right? Right.
From 10 before.
Yeah. Lechu banim shim'uli. Come, my children, listen to me. Yirat Adonai elamedchem. I'm going to teach you about fear of God. Right? Come. So how do I envision this, Ronnie? You know how I envision this? The teacher, the parent, the teacher, the mentor says, come, have a seat. Have a seat. And well, if it would be the ancient world, they sit down cross-legged on the floor, and he's come have a seat, right? And he tells them, I'm going to teach you about fear of God. Now, this is the Navi talking to you through millennia, everybody in the room. The Navi is now talking to you through millennia, directly to you. Mi ha'ish hehafetz hayim. Who is the man who wants life? Or he b'yamim, who loves days? Lir'ot tov, to see good. Who is that guy, Soli? Who's like that? No, who is that guy? Everybody on the face of the earth wants hayim, or b'yamim, lir'ot tov, yeah? Right? Here's my advice to you. Nitzor l'shoncha nera, turn your lashon away from evil. Usfatecha medaber mina, and your lips from speaking deceit. Remember that 32 opened up with say the truth and face up to the truth. Now he's saying the first thing I have to tell you is no deceit, no lies, truth, right? Honesty. Sur mera, turn away from evil, va'aseh tov, and do good. Furthermore, bakesh shalom, seek out peace, birutfehu. Now it's not passive anymore. Pursue it. What does it mean when you pursue it, Morris? How do you pursue it?
So a lot of hard work.
What?
A lot of hard
A
work.
lot of hard work.
Activism.
That's right. Pursue it. You don't just say, "Oh, I like peace." No, you got to make it happen. He's telling you, got to make it happen.
Is it integrity or some scholars say integrity, shalom?
No, shalom. You want you? Yeah. Pursue it. Go after it. Work on it, and it's hard, and it's different, and it's difficult, right? God is close to those who are broken of heart and crushed in spirit. He'll save them. A righteous person has lots and lots of problems. He watches over all his bones. None of them get broken. So I have a question for you. And this I'm going to direct to Morris, and hopefully we won't get very caught up in here. Morris, what reality? He's not talking about reality, is he?
No.
Because there can't be. He's talking about everybody's reality. That's not the way it works. So what is he telling you?
Telling you that's the ideal. That's what you should be pursuing.
Speak a little louder because they can hear.
That's the ideal that you should be focused on achieving. It's not going to necessarily come to fruition, but that's the way that these things will happen in the long run.
Right. In the long run.
Right.
That's correct.
And
Of course, he's never telling you a fantasy. Of course, he's never telling you something fake. So listen to what was the summary. Face up. I'm going to do it in 5 words now. Ronnie, in the refrigerator, there's a bottle of vitamin water, but it has orange juice in it. You'll see it's orange color. You'll see it's orange juice. It's like this. Face up to who you are. Deal with what your shortcomings are. Admit them. Don't be a Josh. Face up to what they are. Work on it, and so on and so forth. In the middle, recognize God. You're a creator. He made the world. You have a creator. Recognize that that's where you're going to be saved from, not some human being who has a lot of weapons, because they're not going to be the things that's going to save you. It's God who's going to save you. And lastly, recognize that when you see things happening in the world, there are 2 ways you could look at a thing. There's a guy who looks at things and goes like this. That guy, well, things are going bad and things happen to fall. Good for him. That's it. That was accidental. That guy, you know how he got saved? Because some people get saved. So I got saved. I could see myself talking to I'm only saying this because, like a very secular Israeli. Oh, man, that's how it goes. Some people just got saved. That town. Well, some towns got saved. You want me to show you all the towns that didn't get saved? Right? Right? Am I right? You'll hear this term. But he's telling you not that way. Morris, you make a comment about that before I go forward?
No.
What do you think he means then?
What's the question?
Well, what does he mean? What does he mean? It's all accidental. What do you mean God answers prayers?
Well, God's involvement is that these things are the things that will end up being successful, like I said, in the greatest scheme of things.
Yeah. Don't live your life every time something happens, he's telling you, thinking these things are accidental. There's a God. You have a creator. And that's why he talks about Yirat Shamayim. He talks about Yirat Shamayim because that's where it's all at, right? I'm going to teach you what it is. No deceit. That's what, there's a formula he's giving you. The formula is not a magic formula. It's a formula that people who fear God, this is how they live their lives. And the best example I could use is, I don't know if some of the room or if people in this room can relate to this, but my mother was God-fearing. So that's how I grew up. She was God-fearing. It wasn't intellectually aware of everything we're speaking about in this room right now. But it's how she lived her life. It's the way she looked at things, the way she saw many difficult things all over the place, right? But there was never the thing of that was potluck. Irad Allah, with God's help, inshallah. Hopefully you'll get better. Hopefully that person will get better. Anticipating, looking forward, recognizing there's a God over you, always with Yirat Hashem. Abraham, remember that this Mizmor is preceded with Beshanoto, David Beshanoto when David changes, you remember Achish, the king of Gath, he comes over there, and David has to look like a Mejnun. And what does the king say? He says, I don't have enough Mejnunin here. Am I liking Meshuggah? You brought another Mejnun? I don't have enough crazies around here. He has to feign madness. The 8th letter of this Mizmor says Tamur Lefne Tamor. He changes Tamor. Over here it says Tamur Kitov Adonai. Taste and see God is good. What do you mean taste and see? What is he asking you to do? Try it. You have to acquire a taste for it. Taste it. You have to change your demeanor. He's telling you, you'll see. What? Not now, you won't see it. You got to experience it. When you say taste something, what do you say? Experience it. Tamu. Taste it, see it. The backdrop of the other one is he has to feign madness, right? When he changes his demeanor, he gives you that backdrop, says, change your demeanor, taste it, but you're not going to get there today. He's telling you outright that this is a process, and you might taste it, you'll see it's good. There are some people, Joey Namer's not on today, he can't eat bananas or something. He gets yicked out from it. Taste it, you like it, it's delicious, right? He goes like that, right? But there are many things. A fine wine. You could teach people that you acquire a taste for it. You have to acquire a taste. You can't do a taste. Taste it the first time. I don't like this, And then you can acquire a taste for a thing, and it becomes very special. So he's telling you that you have to acquire the taste. This is something that has to be acquired. So I think, now I gave I sped through this tonight. I sped through this whole presentation because I wanted to say the following. Think that he's giving a formula. He's surrounding 32, 33, and 34 with saying, okay, this is the upshot of the whole thing. What is that? Face up to what you are. Admit your sins. Don't cover it up. Call a spade. Work on that. Recognize, God, that you have a creator. This didn't all come from nowhere. Recognize, look, you can look at the past and see it. Your power, the power of some individual is not where your success lies. It's false. It's God who's really coming through for you. And you have to change your outlook. You have to acquire it. You have to have fear of God. And you know what that is? Being honest and never being deceitful, and always with yourself internally and with everybody that you deal with, being truthful and being honest and turning away from evil, doing good and pursuing peace, pursue it, actively getting involved with what it is. And you'll see when you go through this process that you will then get into a frame of mind which leads to success. And that's the end of his sort of this is what it's all about, guys. Huh?
Book one.
That's right. That's what it's all about. That's what this is. In 35 and 36 and 37, you know what he's gonna do? In 35, doesn't it say God answers prayers? He makes the most intense prayer of any Mizmor in all of Tehillim, and it's long. 35.
But isn't how Tehillim starts with Ashrei lo halach b'asad Yisraim?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it starts you? So it's ending on that same way.
Yes, that's correct. I have that in the comments on this. You are exactly right. So when he turns, you know what his opening words are? Ribah Adonai ribai, l'hamid lo hamai. He turns to reality. Fight my battles. I am under devastating attack over here. It's vicious, and my enemies are vicious, and they want to kill me, and I need you to intervene. The very next Mizmor says, the people who are coming up against me, you just now told me to be honest and to face up to my sins. I'm going to tell you what they are. Everything is rationalization. They've rationalized their life away, and now they've become pure, unadulterated evil through pure rationalization. They are the opposite of 32. And then you know what he says in 37, the last acrostic in the book? What does he say? Opening words. Don't burn up when you see the bad guys succeeding. Don't be jealous of the people who do these things. Like grass fades, they're going to fade. You know grass? It's everywhere. They're like grass. They're going to fade.
Do you have a summary of all of this like that instead of? You see what you're saying now? The last 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You're summarizing the book.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Giving us every chapter where they fit.
Yes.
Do you have
You can't get
a short summary of
Everything I just now said.
45?
Yeah. Yes. At the end of the volume. End of the volume. At the end of no. That at the end of volume 1. Yes. But before you do
We're
that,
going over every Mizmor in a short way.
there are summaries. Yeah. But wait. I don't want you to lose on those last words I just now told you in 37.
It's a good precursor.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous.
Because you did all the
But
work.
I want you to just give me a minute. I want you to think of 37. 37's message is like this. When he says, don't burn up, don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to you. It only leads to bad things if you let it get to you. In other words, he's dealing with reality. Reality is you're going to look around and you know what you see? You look around and you go like this. I hate them. I'm burning. They have good lives because it says, don't burn up. Don't burn up when you see it. It's temporary. So then you know what he says? In a little while, or ve'od me'at ve'en rasha, in a little while, right? There won't be a rasha. Then, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to close on those words. In a little while.
His life.
So everybody asks, when is in a little while? In a little while. When? How long is a little while?
Whenever.
Soon.
But if I told you it depends on us.
No.
It does. It does. Don't say no. It does. It does. But you know what a little while is? Soon. You know when I told you about my mother and I used the example of God-fearing? If you'd ask her, she'd go, soon. Ma, L'Shana B'Yerushalayim, they've been saying it for 2,000 years. When is that going to be? You know what the answer is? Soon.
Actually, it could go now.
Soon. When is soon? Soon. How long is it? Very soon. And they live their life
Like that.
like that. And when they say it,
They mean it.
yeah,
They
they're
really-
not sketching when they say it, and it doesn't break their belief in God.
Right.
Isn't that a good point?
That's,
Isn't that a great point?
that's the.
When is soon? In Allah, it's all gonna be good. Nah, nah. This is going on for a very long time. Soon? How soon? Soon. You live your life with soon.
1200.
You live your life. You live your life.
Cheap that.
The Jewish nation lived its life with the Shana B'Av. When you went to the kid 500 years ago, he told his parents, "You've been saying this for 1,500 years. Are you kidding? Are you kidding?" And you know what they said? Soon. Hopefully next year. It's going to be, what kind of confidence do you have to have? What kind of Yirat Shamayim, so to speak? I just want to remind you that remember that when Abraham goes to Abimelech with his wife, he says, "Say you're my sister." God, because this one says Abimelech. It's not Abimelech who's the king of Gad. He's Achish, the king of Gad, is a king. Oh, it says Abimelech, right?
Yeah.
The Fin Abimelech, but there is no story like it's not Abimelech. Because Abimelech is the one where he says to him, what does he tell Abimelech why he said it? Because Rak, I said,
Yeah, no, you're
"Ein yirat Elokim b'makom hazeh." This place has no fear of God. I came into this town, and a town without fear of God, yeah, they don't sleep with, but they kill the guy, and then they do.
But you gotta admit that he was pretty on the money, Avimelech, when he says, "A goy gam tzaddik taharov."
You know what God tells him? 100%. You're 100% right. But you know, we know about that story that God came to him and said,
A goy.
"You better
Yeah.
keep,
You're the guy.
you keep your hands off of him." He didn't say, he says, "Yeah, I know that's your attitude."
You had to put the fear of God in.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. We went,
I just say,
Yeah.
walk straight over, what would happen?
Yeah.
We rented a car.
Yeah.
Our council, you know what happened? Someone hit our car, she left a note. She left a note. She left her insurance company and the policy number and her phone number.
amazing, amazing.
I said, I rented the car, I didn't take insurance, but let's see now.
All right,
I got the receipt from the, I don't know, right now,
It's not.
right,
no, actually, we can charge.
It's not.
Sit down to the.
right.
I called her.
Unbelievable, unbelievable,
She left her insurance. company.
amazing,
Wonderful.
amazing. Wonderful.
I was like.
Great story.
I can do that.
Yeah, it's great,
Our insurance company, everything.
amazing,
Let me know if the
wonderful.
Have a summary.
non-Jewish.
Don't have that.
I do, there is a concluding thing at the end of the book. But
I
the
need a
summary
book for
that you
next
want's
time.
gonna come in, is gonna come at the end of volume 2, just to let you know. Volume 2. Anyway,
Because that is a prologue,
yeah,
then you follow it all the way through,
yeah,
and you have more sensitivity,
yeah.
right or wrong.
Yes, I agree with you.
So,
I didn't write a commentary. Everything I told you tonight, I didn't write in volume 1.
So, Ronnie,
Oh, let me just say goodnight to them. Good night, guys.
Good night, thank you.
Okay, all right, okay, okay.